What's up YouTube? So it's that time of the league again when I'm trying to make new characters, and I switched over doing Hollow Palm for a run, and boy oh boy is it faster than ever. And it most importantly feels more satisfying ever to play. As you can see here, this is just Herald of Ice explosions that literally kill everything. Now the reason why Herald of Ice explosions works so well now is because of Call of the Void, which we'll go over in a little bit. But it's basically the ring that Ben/Lighty made, and it makes it so that your chill is able to shatter and all your attacks can chill. So all your damage can chill, because that makes it so it's a very fun leveling experience. And it is probably one of the fastest leveling experiences you can possibly do in PoE to date. I think it will get you to around level 90 in 3 hours or so, or 3.5 hours, depending on how fast you are. You can even do it in 2.5 hours or less if you're very good at reading the layouts. But as you can see here, everything pretty much just dies, and you have really fast move speed. This is with a Mage Blood on right now, but you can use a String of Servitude with move speed, or you can use a Darkness Enthroned. But basically, very, very fun leveling experience that has been greatly amplified by the new unique ring that only requires level 16 to use. And I do think when paired with Herald of Ice, it is an amazing experience. So I'm going to quickly go over everything you need to do to start this setup. Now, this setup is not fully optimized and it's very basic because the damage is just so high from the build. You just want to spend as much time just playing through the campaign as possible and as little time as possible preparing, and this will allow you to buy as little gear as possible and hit 90 in record time. So this is level 90, 1 to 90 in 3 hours. So this is the jewel, and this is going to be you running through the campaign. So what Hollow Palm does is that you have to be unencumbered, and unencumbered means you can't have a gloves, main hand item, or offhand item. And this is really good because this means you need to buy 3 less items for leveling. So you are dual wielding and you have 60% more attack speed. And this is the most important line. You get 14 to 20 added physical damage per 10 dex. So you can get an insane amount of flat damage while being super low level because of items like Astramentus and just being able to take a bunch of dexterity on your tree. So every single point on your tree can potentially be a huge damage increase. So the current state of Hollow Palm is that this new unique Call of the Void makes leveling super fun because of the guaranteed shatters, and Herald of Ice helps out to clear a lot because Smite is not really the best clear skill in the world, and the Call of the Void and Herald of Ice makes it a lot better. Now, nowadays you can do Precise Technique. I'm not sure if this was actually a thing in the past when I last made the video, but basically Precise Technique makes it so you do 40% more attack damage if your accuracy rating is higher than your life. And this is a pretty big deal as it's pretty much just 40% more damage. And because we have so much dexterity, our accuracy is going to be super, super high, even with almost no accuracy on our gear. So there is a lack of a movement skill issue in this build. If you look at the movement skill tab, we only have Flame Dash. And Flame Dash is on a cooldown, so you can't really spam it infinitely. So you have to rely on stacking movement speed. So try to get as much movement speed on your gear and tree as possible. And the damage is so high that you can pretty much do some breaches as soon as you finish the axe, or you can do a breach rotation where someone carries you through the breaches. But basically, you can get through 1 to 70 in roughly 2.5 hours, and then it's like level 90 is in 3 hours or so, because a full set of 5 ways takes around 30 minutes. Now, the way we're going to do this is we're going to talk about the leveling procedure and what you need to get done. So before leveling, preparation is key, like here. You want to spend 10 to 15 minutes buying all of the leveling uniques and the gems from the vendor. So you can see here, you can see what basic uniques you need. You need Gold Rim, Tabula, yada, yada, yada. There's not that many uniques to really buy. So I'm trying to keep this list to a minimum. So you spend as little time buying stuff as possible and as much time just blasting through the campaign. I really believe that a lot of people probably spend too much time actually like preparing the leveling rather than actually playing. So preparation is key, but in the right amounts. And then you just go to Lily on your other character and buy all of the gems up that are in this section over here. So you can just buy up all the gems: Smite, Elemental Damage of Attacks, Ancestral Call, Trinity, Faster Attacks, Onslaught. And there's also some other options, like you can use Melee Fizz, you can also use added fire damage. But it doesn't really matter too much because you just do so much damage. Now, this is a part that a lot of people get hung up on. And this is what do you do before Hollow Palm, because in order to use Hollow Palm, you actually have to socket it into a cluster. So if you look over here on this tree, for instance, and the sample palm I'll be providing is for Scion only. So every single other class is going to be the same. You want to make a beeline for the nearest cluster jewel slot. If you're duelist, you want to be going here. If you're a ranger, you want to be going here as fast as possible. Shadow, same thing. Witch, you probably want to go here. And Templar, you want to go here probably. So you want to just make a mad rush for the first cluster jewel socket. Now you might be wondering, how exactly do you actually level? And you pretty much just choose whatever the strongest level 1 or act 1 skill is, and that's mostly just racing skills. Witch and Templar, you can use Stormblast Mine or Spark. You can equip some Life Sprigs or some flat damage wands and Tabula, and you should be perfectly fine. Duelist, Scion, Ranger, Marauder, you should all be using Splitting Steel. I do think that Splitting Steel is the best in terms of clear and the sheer damage you get. If you have like super twink leveling gear, like super twinko unique weapons, you can also try out Frost Blades. The clear is not too bad, but I would just stick to Splitting Steel, link it to like Chance to Bleed, Onslaught, and stuff like that. Maim, you can't really go wrong as long as you buy like an appropriate leveling unique, or you can out Chaos level two-handed weapon or something like that. So pretty much just choose whatever you want, and it shouldn't be too long to get through Act 1 depending on how good you are at the game. Now, after you slotted Hollow Palm is when the fun begins. This is when your character is going to become insanely strong. So the most important thing is you want to rush Precise Technique and Utmost Swiftness. So for every single build, I think you want to make a beeline for Precise Technique. And that's mainly because this will give you 40% more damage as long as you have enough accuracy. And then you want to pretty much be getting the Utmost Swiftness because this gives an insane amount of dexterity and all attributes. And then after that, it's very important to rush the Cold Mastery. Now, you might be wondering, how do you actually get Trinity to work? So the way we get Trinity to work is we convert 40% of Fizz to Cold with the Cold Mastery, and then Smite itself converts 50% of Fizz to Lightning. So we're pretty much doing half Lightning, half Cold. So that's how we're able to enable Trinity. And a lot of people might be wondering, how exactly do you figure out how much life nodes you need to take? And this really just comes down to how comfortable you are with dying, or how good you are at the game and dodging everything. So basically, you could take all of the necessary life nodes that are nearby. So for here, there's a lot of life nodes you could take. There's life nodes here, 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 even here, and some here. So it's pretty much just comes down to, if you're comfortable with dying, how tanky you feel your character is, and just your comfort level, basically. And you can make the character pretty tanky, as you really do not need that many damage nodes on the tree. Now, if you're playing a class of a lot of pathing, say you're doing like Templar or something, like right here, you're pathing all the way through here, it's important to use jewels like this, like Fluid Motion. And this makes it so that you get 20 dex, and then you get Strength from passes and radius is transformed to dexterity. So if you put it like right here, all of these points right here will be dex, so this will help out a lot in your pathing. So that's why any class can play Hollow Palm as long as you use these unique jewels to change your pathing up so that it's all dexterity. Now, after you finish up the campaign, you might be wondering, what do I actually do? You're level 60 or 65 probably. So what you want to do is you want to do a breach rotation, or you want to run breach stones until level 70. And you might be wondering, how can you actually find a breach rotation? And well, there's a lot of breach rotations over here. You might be able to find some of these guys that are looking for a normal breach. A lot of these people are doing Chayula breaches, so maybe there's someone here that's hosting a regular one. If no one is doing it, you can actually just run the breaches yourself. Let's see my video right here. So in this video, I actually did this all on my stream. So if you want to check out the VOD. So after I finished, after I finished the campaign, I started doing some breaches. And you can see here, this is my character in the breaches, and it's pretty much just destroying everything. And this will probably get you to level 60 to 70 in roughly like 6 or 7 runs at most. So not too bad. And it should be relatively fast. If you can find a rotation on the TFT section, like where I was, for someone carrying it, then it will be a lot faster. But after you finish the rotations, you want to go to the 5-way hosting section, and this is where the magic happens. Just choose anyone. Try to look for someone with an aura bot. So what this means is that you pay 3 exalts for 5 runs of the 5-way, and the 5-way is the Legion encounter. And one set of 5-ways which actually gives you 5 total runs, and this costs you 3 exalts. You will reach level 90 from 70 in 30 minutes. Each 5-way run is roughly 5 minutes or so, 5 minutes 30 seconds. So it takes like 30 minutes to do the full set. And the full set will get you from level 70 to 90 guaranteed, as long as the person is not terrible, in 30 minutes. Now, after that, you're pretty much done. You're 1 to 90 in like roughly 3 to 4 hours. And you can choose to do 2 more sets of 5-way rotation, so that's 6 more exalts. And that will get you to around level 95, which is pretty much where your build needs to be to pretty much do everything. And that's where I stopped personally on my character, was I reached level 95, and it was super, super strong at that point because I had all my passive skill points. I could wear all my gear finally, and I was finally done. So level 1 to 95 in less than 5 hours. It does cost a little bit of money, but at this point is not too big of an investment in terms of how easy it will make the experience after the campaign. Now, you might be wondering what gears you actually wear for this setup, so you should definitely use Gold Rim for a resist. You could probably find a different unique if you want to get some more attack speed, but I just use Gold Rim for resist. And the main goal of this is to switch up your uniques as little as possible, because you can pretty much just rely on the strength of Hollow Palm to carry you throughout the entire campaign. Body armor, you can use a Brisk Wrap at level 9, which is 6 link, and you do have to kind of color it. It is all greens. Or you can use a Tabula at level 1. You can also use a Tabula all the way through. Amulet, you should use a Karui Ward at level 5, anointed with Graceful Assault, so that you can get some Onslaught while leveling early with some Onslaught effect. Astramentus, I would anoint with Tribal Fury, and this is a very important anoint. Tribal Fury gives you strike 1 additional nearby enemy, so it makes it so that your smite can hit double whenever there's a pack of monsters, so it's super, super important. Gloves, you can just use Loctonios at the start. It gives you some nice attack speed, but then you have to take off your gloves after you spec into Hollow Palm. Weapons, the same concept. We want to choose a strong leveling unique for your skill. So you can use like Red Beak, and then you can use like Screaming Eagle for the axe if you're doing Splitting Steel. And if you're doing like Stormblast Mine or Spark, you can use Life Sprig or something like that into Axiom. But make sure once you spec Hollow Palm to take off the weapons you choose. And boots, I would do 7 league steps all the way through because of the 50% move speed. Darkness Enthroned as the belt level 1 with some movement speed. Abyss Jewels and Dex Abyss Jewels is super strong. You can also use String of Servitude with % dexterity or % movement speed. And if you're a super rich person, you can do Mage Blood at level 44. And Nomad at level 48 is actually a pretty good item in the sense that it gives you a lot of flash charges and it's a lot of dex. So it's 50 dex, more flash charges gained. And it also gives you a fair amount of resist if you do have enough strength for it to work out. Now the rings is where the magic happens, and you can use Call of the Void at level 16. And this pretty much gives you the shatter and makes all your damage chill, and everything you chill can be shattered. And La Hoop of All, I would use one of them at level 24. So 1 La Hoop of All right here, and then 1 Call of the Void over here. Now Flask is pretty wide varying. You can use Taste of Hate, which gives you some defenses and more Physis extra cold. Quicksilver Flask, Silver Flask, Sulfur Flask, and Granite Flask. You can choose to use a Jade Flask instead of Silver Flask if you want to run Onslaught on your links. And don't forget to buy One with Nothing. One with Nothing is a Hollow Palm Technique Jewel, and without that, you can't actually play Hollow Palm. Now the gem overview, I try to keep this as simple as possible. You can use Smite, Ancestral Call, Elemental Damage of Attacks, Trinity, Faster Attacks, and the Onslaught. Earlier on, you can slot in added fire damage, or you can swap in Melee Fizz instead of Onslaught if you have an Onslaught Flask. And this really depends on the colors of your chest if you're using Brisk Wrap. For me, it was really hard to get like 5 off colors, so I just stuck with 3 reds, 1 blue, 2 green. Auras, you're just running Herald of Ice and Purity of Elements. You could technically take like Charisma and try to fit in Hatred, but the damage is not really needed at all, and Herald of Ice is enough for everything. And Purity of Elements just makes it so you can't get ignited and shocked and killed, and it gives you enough resist so you're capped res while doing the whole campaign. Movement skill, you want to use Dash early on and then get Flame Dash at level 10. And that's pretty much it, right? Not that much crazy things that you should be doing. And if you want to make the character a lot stronger, you can run Ancestral Protector as a totem and an Elemental Weakness as a curse that you cast on the boss, because we don't really have that much Elemental penetration on this setup outside of Trinity. So you can see here, after the campaign, this is what you do. Make sure you have Cap Chaos Stress, spec all your points into life, and you can pretty much just AFK here. I'm literally standing here. I'm actually not even here. If you actually make this smaller, you can see I'm not even in my chair and I'm leveling. AFK leveling, and it's actually pretty fun. You don't even need to be there. Just make sure you have cap chaos res and take as many life nodes on the tree, and make sure the group has an aura bot so you actually don't die. Look, this guy actually even started at 69, but I think level 70 is kind of the sweet spot at where you want to be so you don't have too much XP penalty. And I finally came back. So you can use this to pretty much level any class, and this method will pretty much be viable every single league as long as this jewel is not nerfed. I know in the past I thought Blade Vortex could rival the speed. I was dead wrong. Nothing can really beat the speed, and it's actually so much better on Call of the Void. The fact that Herald of Ice can make your clear on Smite so much better is a complete lifesaver, and it feels amazing to play. And you can definitely do 1 to 95 in 4 to 5 hours if you're super fast. But in the end, leveling does come down to how well you know the layouts of the zones. So not everyone will be able to do it in 4 hours, but if you learn the layouts and you can get through the campaign super fast, hopefully that makes a lot more people want to play different builds. And the reason why is that because a lot of people are still on Righteous Fire and still on some weird builds or summon skeletons, and it's nice to see people try to re-roll and keep the longevity of the league going. But thanks for watching, everyone. I hope this video helped out, and this setup is simple enough for you to get through the entire campaign. Let me know down in the comments below if you've done this experience before and how fast or how long it took you. But thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you find more Mirrors, Exalts, and Mage Bloods than me, and see you next time. Bye!